What is up, beautiful people? DH here from the patio in Pflugerville, Texas. Say that 5 times and see how it feels. But I hope everybody is having a beautiful morning and enjoying their July as we approach August. And I wanted to share something that I believe is something I've probably thought about my whole life. I think many of us have thought about this, and the opinion of it and the feeling of it and the thoughts of it can change over time based on our life experiences, and that being alone. And I think that growing up, you think of like being alone is like a bad thing, or there's a fear of being alone, or you never want to be alone, or maybe it's maybe it's portrayed in your reality as it being a great thing. But I think as I've gotten older, even like my last 2 years, I started to learn that, you know, you're not alone if you love the person that you're with when you're alone, right? And when you connect with your inner self, when you talk about like doing the inner work and getting to know yourself and digging deep within to find purpose and do some soul searching, whatever like phrase that really resonates with you. And what generally it is you're getting out of your mind, solving the problem and writing the story, and you're opening your heart to the feeling and the intuition about it. But I also had a perspective and an opinion about being alone before I was alone. So it wasn't really, I wouldn't say it wasn't authentic, but it wasn't through experience. It wasn't through life experience. It wasn't through the actual transformation that occurs when you consciously now are aware that you're going to be alone, or that you are going to be alone, or that you are alone, and so you can project that loneliness from all of this story and the history. You can project that loneliness, and it creates pain in your body and in your heart right now. So then it may keep you somewhere where you're not alone, but it isn't aligned, and you aren't happy, and you aren't free. That could keep you in a job, that could keep you in a marriage, that could keep you in a partnership, because of that fear is deep. That fear of being alone is so deep, ingrained, that aloneness isn't good, and it isn't free, and it isn't peaceful, and it isn't love, and it isn't joy. And so I'm just beginning this journey, so I may not be the expert in being alone, but what I'm learning in this very short period of time of being alone is there's so much power that's coming from within me. There's so much learning. There's so much growth that I'm experiencing just by spending those small moments where I generally would be sharing that space, sharing that energy with someone else, and I'm doing it alone now. So I'm subconsciously forcing myself to get to know myself more, to learn more about myself, to go through my own thought progression, to go through my own feeling progression. And I believe collectively there is a strong fear of being alone. And until we experience it in this human reality, into this humanness, until we really experience it, one, we won't appreciate it, and two, we won't understand it, that it's even a fear. And so we rely on other people, we depend on other people, we go from partnership to partnership. I did this last year. After my marriage ended, I was right into another partnership and experienced that until I got to the point where I felt really called that what I needed in my life couldn't be satisfied by somebody else, or by a partnership, or me being in a relationship with anyone exclusively, consistently, daily, weekly, monthly, because there's work that I needed to do to heal, to create, to confront this fear of being alone as being some bad thing. And so I think it's important for all of us to sit with it, to sit with this fear, and know that the fear is just something that we can clear and let go of. It's once we confront it, we have to acknowledge it, and we have to accept that it's there, that it's lingering, that it's an impediment. But we have, until we actually dig into it, until we go right into it, it will keep coming up in different ways. And I think it's important for us to not be afraid of being alone. And I'm not saying that means separating from your job or your partnership or where you live, but it means giving yourself periods and breaks where it is intentional alone time, where you actually choose, I'm going to go out on my own as a priority of self-love and self-care. Yeah, I think I'm called. And so, for instance, last week, a couple days ago, I was feeling pretty overwhelmed. I'm going through a major transition. I'm living with family right now. It's a different circumstance. It's a different environment and a different culture. And so I knew the way that I was feeling, I needed to go out alone. I needed to go to the park. I needed to walk. I needed to sit on a bench. I needed to either bring my journal and write, or I just needed to sit with my own self and solve some of those problems that are only solved when we're alone. But if we're never alone, we don't solve those things. We don't acknowledge those things. We don't let those things clear. We don't express them. And so my encouragement to each and every one of you is that alone isn't scary. It isn't fear. It sometimes is even more scary, just the idea of it. It's just the thoughts around it as being a bad thing and as being a scary thing, and it keeps us stuck. But we as creatures, we as humans, we are not meant to be stuck. Energetically, our body will tell us you're stuck, and it's then many times our mind overrides the body feeling and says, no, we're good. I'll have some more coffee, or I'll stay up a little bit later, or I'll have a couple drinks, or I'll go meet another woman, or whatever it is. We find these numbing factors that suppress the feeling that will keep coming up. It'll keep coming up. It's like boiling water. So my encouragement is that it is not scary to be alone. It should be a priority. It should be a priority because collectively it will help get rid of this karmic and collective fear that humans have of being alone. And I'm expressing that because I'm experiencing it finally. I could have had a conversation about it and an opinion about it before, but now that I'm experiencing it, and the things that I'm doing now that I wouldn't do before, I was not experienced with doing before, because I would, lean on Alicia or like talk to Zoe or whoever. I would express those to them because they were there, but the solution wasn't there. The solution was for me to go out on my own and figure it out on my own, because I'm equipped and I am built to do that, because that helps overcome and helps me become more of who I already am, which allows me to show up in my purpose, in my strength, in my power, in my independence. So then I can show up as myself without the necessity and need for someone else. In association with, I'm not David singularly, I'm David as part of a package deal. No, I come in as my single truth, my uniqueness, my unique expression to the planet, to Earth, is me first, before I can share and create something anew. And so I love y'all. It's find some alone time and allow yourself to create, allow yourself to answer, and allow yourself to be. And you will see the beautifulness, the uniqueness in your divine self-expression of who you really are. And you just start feeling lighter. You just start showing up with your chest higher, your chin higher, and your mind starts quieting and your heart starts opening, which helps you live a more aligned life. Your decisions become quicker. The pain doesn't last as long. And it's because you're loving who you're with when you're alone. You're creating and cultivating your purpose when you're alone. And then when you are in partnership or you're integrating with others, it's a lot easier because you're showing up as your true self. So I love y'all. Have a beautiful day.